hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
It's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm going to be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this. But you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
All right, at my ex-party, young, blonde, versus Christopher Oliver Fleming.
I'm here regarding that matter, ma'am, by special appearance.
Are you Mr. Fleming?
No, ma'am. My mother named me Christopher. I'm of the Fleming family.
All right, then you're the one I want, right?
Well,
who's being sued in this case?
Yeah, I'm the authorized representative for that legal fiction. I actually wasn't served process.
I know. Why don't you come up?
Okay. I'm going to enter into the proceedings with a full reservation of my natural, unalienable, and legal rights remaining intact.
Whatever you want, but your name, as I understand it, on here, you're the person that they're bringing the case against, no matter what your name is, right? Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
You're not the person?
No, they actually have, the plaintiff regarding this matter has received my legal name correction and proclamation. It's been notarized in affidavit.
Well, I don't know what that means, but aren't you the person? Wait, stop. Whatever your name is, you're the one who entered into an agreement to buy the property, as I understand it? There's not some other person, or is it you? Whatever you call yourself. I'm not really interested in what you call yourself.
I understand.
I just want to know if I've got the right body here.
Well, I'm the man. I'm authorized to represent Christopher Fleming.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you're authorized to do that, but in our court, I understand you have your own little proceeding, and I acknowledge that.
Great,
but
thanks.
in this court, I need to know if I've got the right body.
If you'd like, I will stand as, I just like to appear as a special appearance today. I haven't received any...
Well, it is a special appearance even under our laws.
Okay, cool.
Because it's an ex parte application, so you don't have to worry about whether you're jeopardizing any of your rights. You're not.
I just don't want to submit to any jurisdictions that I haven't consented to. I'm not even aware of this hearing. I just barely found out by this by love.
I totally understand, and
Fantastic.
That's fine. And
I also filed an answer regarding the...
I saw that, and did you give them a copy?
Yes, I have. It was served on them.
Have you received this package? What should I call you? What do you want me to call you? Christopher?
Yeah, my mother named me Christopher, ma'am.
Okay. Did she give you a last name?
No. I'm of the Fleming family.
What does that mean?
Well, my mother named me Christopher.
Yes.
And my mother's last name or family name is Fleming.
Yes.
So, like, they said, hey, we're going to call this one Christopher, and he's of the Fleming family.
Do you have a birth certificate?
I have one for Christopher Fleming that I possess, but I'm not the person. See what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
I'm not the artificial legal entity.
Okay, well, who is the artificial legal entity?
I don't even believe it really exists. We're kind of trying to figure all that out right now.
I see, so but when you sign documents, how do you sign them?
I think you have, in the answer, if you take a look at it, you can see.
Okay, so you signed Christopher Fleming without prejudice.
Yeah, you see how I signed? Okay, if you look on
What's AR mean?
authorized representative.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
So I'm
yeah.
gonna call you Mr. Fleming just for.
Oh, I prefer not to be called Mr. Fleming.
Well, I have to call you that if that's what was on your birth certificate.
You can just call me Christopher.
Well,
Chris is fine.
I can't. I have to follow my rules, and my rules say I can't, but we'll all know we're talking about Christopher.
About a natural person?
Yes,
I'm definitely a natural person.
okay.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, man. I love you. All right,
All
thanks.
right.
I appreciate us going over this because a lot of the times it's really difficult trying to explain that.
All right, well, it's fine by me.
Cool.
But you have to follow your rules, and I have to follow mine.
I understand.
Okay, all right, so you didn't get a chance, tell me
And
your
all-
parents, please. Wait,
Yes.
let me get who they are first.
Your Honor, my name is Kenny Tan, attorney for plaintiff. Mr.
Is that Mr. Liu?
Yong Yuan Lu, and that's his interpreter.
Okay, has he been sworn?
They have both been sworn.
Okay, but has he been sworn as an interpreter?
Yes, he has.
Okay, all right.
Your
So
Honor,
are you a certified interpreter,
No.
sir? What's your name?
Jin Ding Liu.
Okay, you're a Liu, Mr. Liu. Can I call you Mr. Liu?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Do you know how this works, Mr. Liu? You're interpreting?
Yeah.
I don't think you do.
Your Honor, I object.
The rules of this court are as follows, Christopher. When I look at you and I ask you to talk, then you can talk, but don't interrupt. Don't even look at them. Just keep looking at me, okay?
Okay.
All right, and you can all have a seat. All right. Mr. Liu, the interpreter.
Yeah.
The way this works is, what are you interpreting, Mandarin?
Mandarin, yeah.
Okay. Whenever anybody is speaking in English, you are at the same time translating to Mr. Liu.
Okay.
And then when he speaks, you're like his mouth. You talk like you're him. So if he says, I went to the house, you will say, I went to the house, not he went to the house. Okay? Got it?
Yep.
All right, so whenever anybody is speaking in English, so now all this time that I've been speaking in English, you should have at the same time been translating to him in Mandarin. And it's okay that you're talking at the same time I'm talking. And I don't need to hear him, I only need to hear you talk when you talk to me, okay?
Okay.
Keep your hand down, Christopher, yet, we're not there yet. Okay, got it?
Got it.
All right, we're gonna start now.
Okay.
Okay. Before I get to the merits of any of this, Christopher, you have their paperwork, right? Because you filed something, even though you weren't properly served, you have a full copy of everything?
No,
Yes or
ma'am.
no?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Do you have everything?
No,
Yes or
ma'am.
no?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Tan, do you have a copy for Mr. Fleming, AKA Christopher?
yes,
All right, I'm going to have him give you a copy so you have a chance to look at it. Now, do you have a copy of what you filed with the court to give to Mr. Tan?
Yes, ma'am.
Give him his copy.
I need it exactly back. This is really organized. All the papers are numbered. It's
You need to have a copy to give to him.
It's been mailed to him. It's been
It's
mailed.
been mailed?
They came in through.
Okay.
They came in, ma'am. They
All right,
came
I
in.
know, I read it. It was blowing around your house. I remember. I read it. All right, what I'm going to do is, Mr. Tan, give you my copy, and you read it with your clients. I'm going to put this on second call, so you each have a chance, Rick, to look at all the paperwork of the other, and then when you're all ready, you'll tell Rick, my attendant, and we'll call you back up here, and we'll talk about it,
Excuse
okay?
me, ma'am. I would just object to that. I'm not even able to. I'm not trying to demean the plaintiff. I'm not able to really understand a lot of the writing. It's kind of scribbled. It was put together very quickly.
Okay,
Whereas
your paperwork or his paperwork?
the paperwork that he gives is like it's in his own handwriting. It's really scribbled. It's hard to read.
It is hard to read, I
It's
agree.
misspelled. And also, when I submit documents to the court, everything has always been, really nicely handwritten. I take my
Well,
time.
I can't
I've done everything right to serve. I've done so much.
What are you asking, Christopher?
I'm just asking that I have time to come and present. I see
You are going to
that
have time.
they come and presented 4
You are
witnesses
going to
here.
have time, but I don't want to hear any of this till everybody's read everybody's papers.
I'd like to have my
You can't-
witnesses too. They have a whole bunch of witnesses. I
Sir,
like.
you don't even know what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So right now, all I want you to do is look over the entire paperwork that they have, And then if you can't understand the writing, we'll go over that. And then Mr. Tan will be able to talk to his client about what you serve, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do today. Okay?
Fantastic.
You'll have an opportunity to have a full hearing, no matter what this court does today. Okay?
That sounds fair.
Okay, so let me take a recess and go and read your paperwork, and then when you're ready, each of you tell Rick that you're ready, and then I'll come back out and we'll talk about it.
One more thing.
Yes.
I have a witness who is a very important witness for me. She has been sworn. She is seated outside. I just want the court to be aware of that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, go on.
Come to order. Court is again in session.
All right, we're back on the record in the Liu versus Christopher Fleming matter. Mr. Tan, have you read the paperwork of Mr. Fleming?
Yes, I have your honor.
And Mr. Fleming, have you read the paperwork of Mr. Liu?
No, Your Honor, I'm having difficulty.
Okay, Mr. Tan, why don't you tell the court what was your situation?
I'll give a little short summary of the background, and then I'll tell the court what I'm seeking. My client lives in Chino Hills, and in the process of selling his home, he installed a lockbox outside his house to a real estate agent.
What's the address of the home you're selling? Westridge?
The Westridge Way.
Okay, what's the address?
1457 Westridge Way, Chino Hills,
Okay,
California 91709.
all right.
And the house was vacant for some time. And
When did he put it up for sale?
I'm sorry?
When did he put it up for sale?
I believe he put it up for sale March, probably a little bit before the summer of 2012.
Okay, and was it vacant at that time?
It was vacant at that time.
All right, and has it been vacant ever since, but for what the allegations are?
Correct.
Okay.
It was vacant, and then the real estate agent, who is my witness today, she's going to testify that one day she returned to the house and found his and a group of his friends living in there. And then she contacted the police, and ultimately the defendant was arrested.
You mean the respondent?
The
in
respondent,
this
yes.
case? Okay, not a defendant?
Yes,
Okay.
respondent, Mr. Fleming-Al was arrested by the police.
When was that?
The arrest happened on May 7, 2012.
2012?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So then,
And then he was arrested for burglary and false pretenses. I have a copy of the report I want to show the court.
I'm not interested in investigation.
Okay. And then after he was arrested, he released. He came back and he saw the agent there again. And once again, he told the agent, "This is my house." And the agent said, "No, this is not your house." And there was an altercation between the agent and the respondent. And the respondent wanted to enter the house, and then there was an incident involving the police coming by the house.
All right, what I want to know is why you're here today.
We're seeking...
Today, you don't have any dates on what happened. When did he break into the house? When was that? Was that back in May of 2012?
Well, he was found at the house around March of 2012, and then again May of 2012.
Okay, so what is the latest time that you're claiming he broke into the house?
No, he didn't break into the house afterwards. What happened was...
Your Honor, I've never broke...
Mr. Fleming, you'll get your opportunity to do what they're claiming. May or may not be true. Okay? what you say may or may not be true, but I'm trying to get the idea of what's going on. In other words, there is no recent incident
There
of
was a
contact
recent,
between Mr. Liu and Mr. Fleming, and Mr. Fleming. Christopher, you gotta stop. Christopher, look at me. Don't look at him.
Okay.
And don't, it's not proper to.
I know.
to make gestures.
I'm
okay?
sorry.
You'll get your opportunity. I'll give you full opportunity to tell me what your side is. Right now, I don't fully understand what's going on that I do know there's a civil case pending, and you didn't tell me in the paperwork, or Mr. Liu didn't tell me about the paperwork about the Pleasant complaint that Mr. Fleming filed that's pending in Department 10. So what I want to know is, the only thing I want to know today is, why should I give your client a restraining order, temporary restraining order, which Mr. Fleming claims he was not given notice of? And what is the emergency? If there's an issue about who belongs in the house at the present time, that can be set for a hearing. But unless there's some event that happened within the last 3 or 4 days, I'm not inclined to give any kind of temporary restraining order because there's no emergency. It's clear to me there might need some order, whether it's an injunction or whatever about who occupies the house, pending the resolution of the lawsuit. But I'm not seeing from the paperwork I've read of Mr. Liu, which I fully understand he probably prepared himself, there are no dates. So I don't know why there's any real need for an emergency order today on this case.
several days ago, Mr. Fleming-Al came by the house.
Is the house occupied by Mr. Liu now?
Right now, it's occupied by him, but before that, it was occupied by a tenant. And Mr. Fleming-Al went by.
Is that Lionel or whatever? What was his name?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. And I did read your paperwork, Mr. Fleming. I read it before I gave it to Mr.
I also have a.
Lionel, no, not yet. Lionel was the tenant?
I'm not sure. I can have the agent
Well,
tell me.
Mr. Liu, was it Lionel? What was the name of your tenant?
He doesn't know his ADMJ.
Mr. Fleming,
Sorry.
not your turn.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna shut up. I won't say anything.
Yes, please, you will get your time. But I have to keep order in the court, or I'll never get anything done with people
I know.
yelling and screaming at each other.
I know.
Okay?
All right.
Just calm down.
I know better. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But
No, not yet. Right now you're winning, because I don't see I've already told him I don't see a basis for an emergency order. So just calm down.
yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you hire the realtor to get the tenant? I don't hear Mr. Liu, the translator. No, sit down, sir. You can sit down. That's fine.
Okay.
No. Yeah, what?
You have to say yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, all right. A couple days ago, he came by the house, is what you're saying?
Which the
The
witness
witness,
will
we'll say. Okay,
Yes.
what was the witness doing there?
She was getting ready the house to sell the house again, and then the defendant
Came by the house, and what did he
Responded.
do? He came had an altercation with her?
yes.
Okay, so why does your client need a restraining order? Sounds more like she needs one.
She does need one as well, but we have a pattern of behaviors where he's making threats on everybody that's
Like
working.
what kind of threats?
Say, I'm the owner of the house.
That's not a threat, that's a
You
statement of
know,
fact.
If you don't, I'll make you leave the house.
Why doesn't your client go, why didn't he tell me about the other case?
I have no answer for that.
Are you representing him on the other case?
No, I'm not.
Is he self-represented in the other case?
Currently, yes.
It would seem to me that the more appropriate remedy would be for him to get an injunction in the other case establishing his right to possession pending the resolution of the case, which is also what Mr. Fleming could do in that other case. But I'm not really seeing a basis for a temporary restraining harassment order. Was that, and before that time, when was the time previous to then that he had come to the house that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any other.
Okay, so it was at one time, and then what happened on that occasion when he came by the house? He had, your client wasn't there, right?
My client wasn't there, the agent was there.
Yes.
He had an altercation with the agent.
What will she tell me what she will testify today if I hear her, what will she say?
She said, she asked him to leave, and he wouldn't leave. Not only wouldn't he leave, the door was left open, and then he stepped over the door as if he was going to enter the house.
Okay.
And then the agent threatened that she was going to call the 911. That's when he left. So had she not threatened 911, he would have gone into the house.
Okay, all right. And that's the basis of the relief today? What you're requesting, a temporary harassment order precluding him from going to the house?
Keeping a distance from the house of 500 yards. That's all we're seeking.
Okay. Just to stay away from the property itself, not from Mr. Liu.
From Mr. Liu and the property.
Well, what would be the basis of me giving you a temporary restraining order against Mr. Fleming towards Mr. Liu personally?
The basis is that he has a pattern of taking over possession of the house without proper process. And he has
I don't hear you talk, wait, excuse me. Mr. Liu, I don't hear you interpreting.
I'm trying to.
Well, what's the difficulty? You don't understand the words?
Yeah, some law words I can't understand.
Oh, well, that's not very helpful.
Yeah. Casual thing I can translate.
Okay, well, I understand that's a difficulty. Then, Mr. Tan, you're going to need to bring somebody who understands, because I want to make sure Mr. Liu understands what's going on, especially if he's not represented.
I understand.
He is now, but...
It's an emergency.
Okay, all right. All right, so what would be the basis, again, I'm sorry, for getting a personal restraining order against Mr. Fleming, a.k.a. Christopher, towards Mr. Liu? Sounds like it's a property dispute.
It is a property dispute that could potentially rise to a level of violence because...
Well, potentially is not the same, potentially is always potentially, but unless there's been something, I don't see the basis for a harassment order, let alone a temporary restraining order, harassment order.
Somebody who has a civil lawsuit pending, he has a civil lawsuit pending.
Right.
He has no
business.
business...
I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him about that.
I'm just going to say that he has no basis. He already has a civil lawsuit pending.
That's right.
He has no basis to keep going back to the property to harass the people that are working on the property and saying, this is mine, you got to leave, or I'll make you leave.
Oh, I agree with that.
You have no business for that. You have the court to resort to.
Right.
You have no reason to.
Is there anybody, so right now, is the house vacant?
It is vacant for now,
Okay.
but there may be people moving in soon, as soon as we find a tenant.
Okay.
And we don't want him coming by the property and start harassing the tenant.
I understand. Okay. Christopher, you
Yes,
have a lawsuit pending next door to quiet, it looks like it's to quiet title.
Also for a complaint for damages.
Okay.
I'm trying to collect the...
Okay, from Mr. Liu through his realty company?
As much as I really like to try to defend
No.
against this matter, I wouldn't want to reveal as much stuff as I don't have to that's not already disclosed. I can give you a copy of the complaint that's been filed that describes all that. If you'd like to see the complaint, I have it right here. But
Well, no, I read it, and that's what your complaint says. I need to know what the basis is. That's not something that can be kept a secret.
Okay.
You have to disclose that.
Ma'am, the complaint says that I'm not really sure if he owns ADMJ or if ADMJ
Right, no,
is...
I understand that.
I don't know.
What I want to know is how do you, okay, then let me ask you this. What are you claiming I think you're claiming in the lawsuit that you own the property.
Yes.
And the property is a Westridge house.
Yes, ma'am. I do own the house.
So tell me what the basis is.
The basis of my claim to quiet title
Yes?
is that I provided and performed all my obligations under a contract that I signed with ADMJ.
I see. To buy the property?
I gave him a promissory note for $2.5 million. They
Okay.
accepted my offer. He accepted my offer, and my understanding was Contact One told me that he accepted my offer
Okay.
to purchase the house.
For $2.5 million?
Then ADMJ Realty contacted my real estate agents, Contact One, who's also a defendant on the case.
Contact One was your real estate agent
Yeah.
in the sale? Okay, and was there an escrow open?
Yes, ma'am.
And did escrow close?
No, it didn't. That's what the whole
Why
complaint,
didn't it close?
that's part of the lawsuit.
Well,
Because
you can't keep it secret.
There's a breach of contract.
If you're asking for an order from this
Yes, ma'am.
court,
Okay.
you're gonna have to tell it there, and it won't.
Because Mr.
Don't
Liu-
Just look at me, don't look at him.
Okay,
Look at
because
me.
someone who he paid took my note, entered into escrow with me, made all sorts of promises to me, had me move into the house, told me I was more than welcome to be there with all of my friends, and then come and try to back out of the deal and not return any of my money, then tell me that I'm not getting paid for any of the time that I spent working on the house, then all this crap happened to where it's really, really bad. I have a lot of witnesses too who were not able to come here this morning.
Okay, let me ask you this though. When did you?
I never broke in.
Did you move into the property?
Yes, and I never broke in.
When was that?
On April 11th, 2013,
2012?
2012, and I had keys, ma'am, and I've had keys this entire time. They were completely lying. I have
Okay.
never, ever
All right,
broken in.
All right,
And I have,
calm down.
It's just
You
really
moved
bad.
in.
And-
No, calm
wait,
down. No, I can't help you if you don't behave, okay?
he just kept saying all sorts of things that I'd like to try to go with,
I
but
understand that, that happens a lot. When people sue each other, there are contrary stories on both sides, that's why we have a court. So we can figure it out, or either the court figures it out or the jury figures it out.
Yeah.
But truly, people believe their positions, and that's why there are disputes and lawsuits, okay? If you agreed on everything, you wouldn't be here, right? So he's gonna say something, and then you're gonna say something, and you're gonna disagree.
but
All
ma'am,
right, don't wait.
we can,
So I cannot help anybody unless I understand the facts.
okay.
Okay, so you moved in, and then they said you didn't belong there, and they called the police and said you broke in and whatever, and you got arrested, right?
No, ma'am.
You didn't get arrested.
No, the police and Diana Liu showed up at the house, and I
Okay.
showed them all the paperwork. And Diana Liu showed up.
Who's Diana Liu?
She's the one who's going to come in here and
Oh,
translate right
another
now.
Liu, right?
Yeah, or Andy Langlow.
It's a different
Okay,
pronunciation.
how do you spell it?
Luo.
Okay, good. Luo, okay.
Honest-
So are you're not living in the property now, right?
Yeah, I was planning on it. I have Edison
No,
coming.
not planning on it.
Yeah,
You have
yes.
furniture in there?
Yes, my property is still in the house. Yes, to this day, I still have property there. That's why I was trying to contact
Well,
her.
why didn't you go,
Yeah.
when you filed your lawsuit next door, why didn't you ask the court for an injunction allowing you to stay there pending the resolution of the dispute?
I've never heard of injunction, ma'am. I've not schooled a lot. I'm going to look into it. Thank you very much. And you know what I was planning on doing was I was going to go and put the restraining order on him, but you're saying the injunctive order would be better.
Well, to me, it looks like a civil dispute.
It is.
It's not, although there might be a basis for a harassment order to stay away from the property, but I don't think it's harassment. I think it's injunction. It's injunctive relief by either one of you in the next court. I don't think it's a harassment type order.
Could I just address a few of the other?
But let me tell you, so you still have the keys to the place? Okay, but where is your grant deed? Do you have a grant deed?
I did it myself, and I've sent that. That's all in the paperwork that you have on the answer.
In this jurisdiction.
You guys want it to be
and in this
recorded.
court, it has to be a grant deed. And if escrow never closed, then there might be some claim that you're not entitled to possession pending the resolution of the lawsuit. Now, this is how it happens in this jurisdiction.
Okay, wait, what is it?
I don't know about your jurisdiction,
I
but in
understand.
this jurisdiction, what happens is you make an offer to purchase a piece of property.
Okay.
All right, it gets accepted by the seller, then you go into escrow. Then all of the things that each party needs to do, one is put the money in and the other is give the deed, and then escrow closes, and then the buyer has title to the property and moves in, and the seller has the money, okay? Now, if for some reason escrow doesn't close, then there's a lawsuit brought, you said you brought a lawsuit saying I bought the property, I'm entitled to possession, okay? But if you don't have that piece of paper that was supposed to be in the deal, you may not be entitled to its possession pending. The court is going to determine, or the jury will determine whether it should have been sold to you and you're entitled to possession. And then if the court says, yes, you are, then you'll get your damages plus title plus possession.
Okay.
But you can't just, if escrow never closed, you just can't go in there and squat and say, well, I own it. That's what the court's for. Otherwise, we'd go back to the wild, wild west with people shooting each other and whatever to get into their house and, you know.
I understand.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, unless you have that deed, that piece of paper and escrow closed, you're really not entitled to possession and to go back there and live unless you get your own order that says you are.
Okay.
Okay? Because it's called, the deal never got consummated, you know?
I can't do it.
But you might be entitled to an order finally that says he has to sell it to you.
What about
whatever?
What about through a private administrative remedy? Because I was using the administrative remedy process on.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Okay. So here's another thing that I just want to address before I forget too, is the counsel for what was
Mr. Tan.
Mr. Tan. He stated that I had come to the house the other day, and that's not true at all. That's complete misrepresentation and a lie.
When is the last time you were at the property?
I was at the property last night, but I was not at the property the day that he was served process.
Okay, did you ever have a confrontation with Mr.
I've never seen that man.
No, you were at the property.
I was at the property last night, but I was not at the property the day that he was served process.
Okay, did you ever have a confrontation with Mr.
I've never seen that man
not
in my entire life.
Ms. Luo, the person who's standing
Yes, but that was
outside.
over a year ago. That was over a year ago, and that was when he said that she called the police, I called the police. And that's all on the police report. You can read the police report. It says that Chris called the police on Diana saying that she trespassed on his house.
Let me ask you this, if you were in possession, and who is this Lionel who you don't know?
Oh, I have a recording of him too.
No, I don't need one recording, just tell me who is he?
Oh, he was someone who, okay, well, we had, like you've seen on the answer.
Yes.
Then what we did was I had people go and serve in process, tell them, hey, you know, I'm going to be intent, it's like an intent to lien. I was letting them know, hey, you're in default, you haven't paid me the money that you owe me. I've tried everything I can.
Why does he owe you money if you were buying the house?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who owes me money. I've sent everyone the bills because I know that some.
What are the bills for?
For my services.
Well, I thought you bought the property. If you bought the property and then performed services on the property,
I did. See, here's the thing.
Nobody would owe you money.
No, here's the thing: is that if I bought the property and then later you come to kick me out, then I'm entitled to all the damages.
In the next door suit, that's where that goes.
Exactly. So
Right.
that's why I had to serve him the notice to try to get the money.
I see.
I was trying to get him to pay. I don't want to go serve a lawsuit. This is a nightmare. I mean, look at this. It's been going on for so long. It's so ridiculous. And this guy's been missing in action for over a year and a half. Shows up, and now I've never.
Well, he has an agent or the realtor.
Supposedly. That's still all to what we're going to find out next door. And even if he's holding the note, or if they're holding the note, someone's holding.
But do you understand what I'm saying? You can't live there unless you get an order from the next door court saying you have the right to live there pending the resolution of the suit, unless you can show the court a grant deed, not that you prepared, but that the escrow prepared. You see what I'm saying? Because even though you don't maybe agree with all the rules, because you're in some other jurisdiction,
I can't get it.
In this case, you know, in where we live, we follow these rules.
Sending him the grant deed and telling him that this is going to be your silent tacit acquiescence, that wouldn't fly.
No, not in this court, anyway.
Okay.
Maybe in your jurisdiction, but unfortunately, the laws that were in this court follow different rules, and I don't even know what the rules are in your jurisdiction. But that's what that next door court is going to sort all out, okay?
Okay, cool.
So you can't be there unless you show the court, you know. But I'm not going to make any order today.
Okay.
But what's going to happen is this.
Furthermore, can I just state on the record as well? He stated that that I had come to the house and threatened Diana the other day. That's not true. I never seen them, and someone else who's not even a party to this action was the one who served the process on him. And the next day, he went and filed this CH-100 on me, saying that, I mean, it's in here. I can't really make out all the words, but for the most part, I can see that he says that I've repeatedly broken in.
Well, but let me tell you, let me tell you something. If he gets somebody, if you can't be there, if you don't go next door and get an order saying you can live there, you can't live there. But it will be to your benefit to have a tenant living there,
okay.
Because I'll tell you why. Because if he gets somebody that lives there and is paying him $6,000 a month, like you said Lionel was paying him, at the end of the day, if you had a right to buy that property, you might be entitled to some of those damages.
Can I ask you?
So if you are, so it's to your benefit, unless you go and get an order next door that says you have a right to live
create
there,
a rental agreement.
Then you want a tenant there too, because then the money that's being
security
paid,
interest. Yeah.
you're going to get. You may have a claim to some of that.
I didn't want to go and create a rental agreement and then have this happen where he's coming.
Yeah, you don't know. That's why
I wanted to finish it over here first. And so should I do that in the meantime while this is going on, or is that something that I'm able to do?
Well, I can't give you legal advice. You should go talk to a lawyer in our jurisdiction about that, or look up on the net our laws and look at that, because I can tell you right now, your laws aren't going to apply. They're just not. If you come to this court and say, I want orders, we have to apply this law, not your law.
Got it.
So figure out how to do that. But if you don't get an order that says you can live there, you still might have a claim to the property. That's what that lawsuit's about. But it's to your benefit to not have the property vacant, because then at the end of the day, if you're successful, you will ask the court, well, I want those monies because it was my property. So that'll be monies Mr. Liu might owe you. I don't know. If he wins, he's not going to owe you anything. You might owe him money. But you see what I'm saying? That's how it works.
Okay.
You can't just go there and keep living there. If there's a dispute and you don't have that piece of paper that says grantee, that's recorded. It doesn't even need to be recorded. It has to be a grantee. But if escrow never closed, unless you get an order next door, you can't live there pending the lawsuit.
I can't put his name down in all capital letters, like typed out on the computer on the grant deed and granted over to me by signing that.
But they don't apply.
Wouldn't that be a due process, like where I'm giving him notice and then I'm going and I'm actually recording it?
You can give him all the notice you want, but it has to be according to the laws that apply.
Well, I mean, would it be recognized by the court that way, or were you saying that if he came back and ever tried to go, hey, look it, you went and signed this grant deed and you didn't actually have my consent or whatever, so forth, you understand?
No, you can't sign the grant deed. It has to be signed by him.
Yeah, okay.
Can't be you.
But
you can record all the things you want, but it might not mean anything.
Even with the limited power of attorney that I got from him, silent tacit acquiescence to failing to respond to registered certified mail?
You can't do this. This is the problem that I've noticed in your jurisdiction.
Okay.
You can't send people notices and say, unless you respond in X a number of days, then I'm going to have your power of attorney and I'm going to do it. It doesn't work that way. You have to have signatures and agreement. There has to be mutual understanding.
With corporations?
At arm's length.
At arm's length? Okay.
It doesn't work in this jurisdiction, I'm sorry. But I understand what you're saying, because I'm kind of familiar with your jurisdiction, but it doesn't.
I can see that, yes, you are.
But it doesn't
I'm really impressed.
apply.
Yeah.
It doesn't apply.
Okay.
Well, you're not the first one, believe me. I've been on the bench almost 10 years, and there have been many people from your jurisdiction come before my court, but I always have to tell them, until you change the rules in our jurisdiction, if you come to this building, I have to follow the rules that follow this jurisdiction.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
You two can agree to follow your jurisdiction, but he has to agree in writing. He can't just, his failure to acknowledge you can't be an agreement.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So, what I need to get from you is, I'm not going to give any orders today. But I'm going to set it for a hearing here. But because there's a proceeding pending here, you have to file what's called a notice of related case, as well as you, to tell the next door court that this is pending, so that next door court can decide, do they need to do anything about that? Because
Okay,
The
cool.
left hand needs to know what the right hand's doing.
I could hypothetically put in an injunctive order on that when I do that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. At the same time?
Yes, and I would suggest either or both of you do that so there's peace pending what's going on. Yes, and I would suggest either or both of you do that so there's peace pending what's going on.
Yeah, just so, I mean, while the lawsuit's working out, we can kind of be on the same groundwork.
And maybe you should talk to Mr. Tan, and I think a good agreement would be for you not to be there, but for them to get a tenant, and then the monies, you know, you'll know what the monies are, and then Mr. Tan will know that if he's going to represent him next door, that at the end of the day, if you do prevail, you might be entitled to some of that money. I don't know, I'm not making any findings, so don't go next door and say, well, the judge said I'm entitled to that. I'm not. But it's got to get worked out next door, not here.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I'm going to set it for a hearing.
Ma'am, I would just object to that. There's no factual basis for this restraining order at all.
Then that's what's going to happen at the hearing. But today you won. Today I didn't give them any relief.
So I need to bring all my witnesses and stuff? Can I just get like a little more time? Because they just threw that stuff on.
No, I am. Okay,
can you
well,
tell
do you
them?
agree? When can you be prepared to address this?
2 weeks, at least 2 weeks from now.
Okay, that'll be fine. So what I'm going to do is set this for hearing.
Can I have the court like subpoena witnesses who don't want to be here for the
No,
hearing?
you have to get, you can do your own subpoenas.
And they'll have to come? So
You have to get it from the clerk.
like I can subpoena his witness too, right?
I can't help you. I can't give you
Okay.
legal advice.
All right.
There are ways to get people to come here.
All right.
But what I'm suggesting
Even for that type of hearing?
I'm going to set it for a hearing here, but I would suggest you get together and try and work out some agreement in the next case, because that's where it belongs.
I've tried so many times with him. He just doesn't answer anything, Your Honor.
I don't think he understands you,
All right, I'll try.
okay? But that's what you should do, get an agreement pending what's going on there, who's going to live there, and
I have
like
Edison
said-
going to the house tomorrow to go turn the electricity on in my name.
Okay, well, you better get that fixed, because you might not be able to live there unless you get an order.
Well, that's why I had to come to the hearing today, because we need to figure something out.
Yeah, you do, so I would suggest you talk to Mr. Tan.
All right.
But it would probably be better to have a tenant there paying money, because then that's to your benefit if you win in the end. Don't you agree, Mr. Tan?
Absolutely.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Cool.
So the date I'm going to set for a hearing, June 12th at 8:30 in this department. If you want to file another answer, I have your answer here, Mr. Christopher, so I don't know that you need anything else, but if you want witnesses,
John, a good job at the council. Can you move to the next week?
Yes.
That's fine, anytime after 2 weeks.
June 19th.
That works, thank you.
Okay, but what I want is, I'll give you an hour hearing, okay, with witnesses. So if you have witnesses, bring, you know, only going to probably have time for one witness on each side, okay? But what I'm suggesting you do is work it out next door, okay? But file a notice of related case.
When does that need to be filed, as soon as possible?
Go downstairs, this one form.
Okay.
Go downstairs, and fill it out and file it, and then it'll come up to the court, and we'll figure out what we need to do. Okay?
All right, thank you.
And notice is waived, right? Everybody has their paperwork.
Yeah.
Mr. Christopher, now you said you mailed your copy to Mr. Liu. Where did you mail it?
1457. You can still get mail there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So he'll get it. If you don't get it, then contact him so that you'll get, and you'll take service of it.
Yes, I'm.
I'm also having mail sent to the house too, so I'll just ask them
And
not
now
to throw
you
any of my stuff away.
have, you have your paperwork, right, from him?
It's kind of hard to read, but I have it.
And maybe you could ask Mr. Chen what you don't understand on the paperwork, and he can explain the words to you.
All right, cool.
All right, thank
Hey,
you.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Very clear.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You have my phone number, right?